It's not often that a startup from London enters the smartphone industry only to disrupt it. There's a lot of clutter, especially in the mid-range segment, and a company from London has decided to break that clutter. I have with me the Nothing Phone 1.
What about the camera?
Look at the lights.
The battery life?
The lights look amazing.
And the processor?
The lights are so cool. Okay, well, you get the drift. I can't keep deviating and digressing like every other review on the planet talking about the lights. Now, they look great, but they look like a mere smokescreen or a distraction. There's a lot under the hood. It's ironic that this is a transparent back, but has this device truly broken the clutter? Are there reasons for you to actually upgrade or downgrade to this device? Well, that's what we're going to tell you in this in-depth review on Tech Today. So you must have seen a bunch of reviews on this particular device, and we've had it for a while, but I wanted to take my time with this particular device because there's so much talk about it, and on Tech Today, we want to give you an unbiased user review or opinion. Now, if you look at the phone, let's talk about design. So throughout this review, we're going to tell you the reasons you might want to purchase such a device and the reasons you should steer clear of the Nothing Phone 1. Is it much ado about nothing? No more nothing puns from us, but if you have a look at this device, it looks really cool. So we got to give them full marks for design. If you show this to anyone in office or any family member at home, they will have a look at the back of the phone and say, hey, what kind of cover have you put on your iPhone? Because it does look like that at first glance. Even the camera placement, it looks eerily similar to an older iPhone. But then when you flip it around and you have a look at the OS, it comes of course with Android 12, with the Nothing OS on top, which is largely bloatware free. And I think that is amazing. It comes from the legacy of the gentleman behind the brand, that's Carl Pei. Now, Carl Pei, of course, was one of the founders of OnePlus. And when OnePlus was the OnePlus of yesteryear, a cult community. OnePlus was the sort of brand where people wanted to be a part of an engaged community. Is Carl Pei doing that now with the same playbook, with nothing? Well, you'll need a lot more product innovation than just a glyph interface. That's one thing which is very special about this device, which is the glyph interface. If you have a look at it, it's simple. It sounds fancy in tech geek lingo. It's 900 LED lights at the back of the phone. These 900 LEDs will pop up in the center, in the top over here, at the bottom, and they actually do have significant functions and use cases. For instance, this one at the bottom, if you're charging through a USB-C port, will light up and tell you what the battery status indicator is like. You give it a little bit of a shake, and all of a sudden you know what the battery charging status is like. You go up over here and you end up reverse charging, and this comes with reverse wireless charging and wireless charging for this particular device, and it's pretty good at that. The reverse wireless charging feature, I put my AirPods on it a few times, and honestly it's more of a gimmick because there's a lot of heat energy that is lost. Let's just put it this way, it's not as efficient. And if you want to use the reverse wireless charging feature, then this piece will light up in the center. It looks really cool, like something out of a Star Wars movie. Now, this glyph interface is kind of interesting because it is a crowd puller. It is a conversation starter because no other phone seems to do this. You did have those LED indicators on phones of yesteryear, but this takes it to a whole new level. For instance, if you use one of the 10 ringtones available on Nothing OS, the current one is Beetle, and you'll see it light up in different ways in sync with this particular ringtone. You switch to squirrels and you have, well, a different sort of user experience. Even if you end up putting a song that you like to listen to, this will adapt and then go all disco on you from the back. Now, I know that sounds very old school, but this is something unique about this device. The question is, can you get distracted by just this and not look at what's under the hood? So what's really under the hood? Well, this is what the specs are all about. The biggest, most contentious point is the processor. This device comes with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G Plus SoC. Of course, it has the glyph interface, these 900 LEDs at the back. About the display of the phone, it's a 6.55-inch Full HD Plus OLED panel with 120 Hz refresh rate. It comes with Android 12 out of the box with nothing OS on top. The camera system is slightly underwhelming when it comes to performance, but just in plain specs, it's a 50 megapixel camera on the back, and it comes with a 4500 mAh battery which powers the Nothing device. Do these LED lights at the back end up taking a lot of battery from the device? Well, we will tell you that in a subsequent review when we've actually tested the phone. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the Snapdragon 778G. This is clearly not a flagship processor. But this is not a flagship phone. This is meant to be a mid-range phone, and honestly, it does the job in so many departments. If you're a gamer, this isn't an ideal phone for gaming, and if you're a camera enthusiast, then maybe this isn't the best pair of cameras on a smartphone ever. So then who is this phone for? Well, I think this is a phone which is targeted at those people who are bored of all the devices in the mid-ranges from the Pocos and the iQOOs and whatnot, and want something which is kind of aspirational, kind of has a story, and honestly is a dark horse that's trying to break the clutter. That's what this phone is all about. What has the user experience been like? Because for the past week, we've seen all sorts of media reports which are talking about issues with this phone. The retail units have started reaching customers, and there are issues with this phone, but there might be teething issues. We have updated the software on this particular device, but we haven't seen some of these things in practice. The battery is all right. People are talking about dead pixels, a green tint on the display. A lot of users who've picked up retail units, very excited about the Nothing Phone 1, are complaining about these issues. So we hope that the company is taking these issues seriously, because Carl Pei, when he was at OnePlus, and the whole team at OnePlus back in the day, and even now, really did obsess over customer feedback. I remember they used to have these engagement sessions where customers and enthusiasts of the OnePlus community used to sit down and give and relay their feedback to the OnePlus developers and team. Let's hope Nothing also works with the tech community and the community they're hoping to build with this device on that particular feature. So if that piece is sorted, we'll tell you about some of the issues we faced with this device. Honestly speaking, the software at this particular stage is a little buggy. The camera performance is underwhelming. It maxes out at 4K 30. And honestly, if it's not a well-lit atmosphere over here while we're shooting, it's all right. If you take it to a low-light sort of surrounding, it starts performing really badly. Also, if you're taking a selfie, and that's very important with these particular devices, then this is the selfie that the camera takes. But there is a catch. If you actually flip the phone over, switch on the glyph light, and then take a photo like this, this glyph light at the back, strangely, is a really cool filler light when you're shooting, if you're vlogging, especially in a low light surrounding, out in the dark. This is pretty much a ring light, but spending more than 30,000 rupees on a ring light isn't the ideal way to go. But nevertheless, it is a feature on the phone and it can be used, and they've given you that functionality. So the lights aren't just a gimmick, they also serve a use case. Well, it's time for our Tech Today verdict, and we need to be very sincere with you because a lot of online reviews seem to be a lot of marketing and a lot of hype. Two words that this company understands very well. Even before the company existed, everyone was talking about their marketing plan. And of course, Carl Pei comes from OnePlus and he set up a brilliant brand out there. So we do expect some great marketing. But if you're investing your hard-earned money in this product, you need to know that there are things that work for it and things that don't seem to work at all. This is their first such product in the smartphone space, so it is work in progress. We understand it has a very cool design element. This glyph interface is kind of refreshing to see. The OS is great in terms of their clean implementation of Android, but it does have its fair share of bugs. When you're talking about battery performance, camera, look, this is a mid-range smartphone, so is the processor. But we want to talk about the overall package deal. Look, at around 35,000 rupees, 32,000 rupees for the lower spec version, that's what this is priced at. So who's the Nothing Phone 1 for? Is it for the die-hard enthusiasts? I don't know. It's a mid-range smartphone which is not performing in a lot of departments like gaming and even in the camera department for that matter. Is it an aspirational smartphone? Because clearly they're going the iPhone way and taking out the charging brick from the box, and that's something that the price-conscious Indian consumer might not be very happy with. No charging brick in the box, a lot of marketing, but is it an aspirational device? The design is amazing, the glyph interface is kind of cool, maybe something they can work on and make a lot more functional. Look, I think this is just a start for the Nothing Phone 1, and you have to give these guys some credit for trying to disrupt the smartphone, the mid-range smartphone segment. When you're talking about pricing, this is 32,000 rupees for the base version and nearly 35,000 rupees for the top-end version. I think at 35,000 rupees, this is a very expensive ring light. Much ado about nothing.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.